well, our hand's great. We are on the draw, but Gerry and Courser tend to make up for that. So I like this hand. You know, could use maybe some removal, maybe a bigger creature, maybe a Satyr Wayfinder to fuel our whip, but overall, I can't really complain about this hand. Unless I'm playing against Esper, then I can complain. So don't really need anything too specific right now, so just playing the Citadel, and now we are Courser flooded, which is not quite the same as being mana flooded. We don't mind all that much. And I should really get the same picture of Courser, because this is kind of unacceptable. Yeah, sure, Thoughtseize me. We could play a Rhino. That might be good, actually. Yeah, let's do that. Actually, put some pressure on this person. Play something they actually have to kill. Another Rhino. So I don't know if they have Crux of Fate. Counterspell here might give me a lot of information as to what our opponent is up to. He's just going to dissolve my Courser, which is pretty phenomenal, actually, because counterspells are excellent, and I have so many Coursers, but it makes me think that our opponent does not have a Crux. Death Mist Raptor is probably pretty good. You know, it comes back and everything. If we play a Courser next turn, if we hit an untapped land, we could also play the Raptor. So I think that's worth keeping on top. Alright, so Rhino gets in, opponent down to 8. Other Courser comes out and bricks, so that's kind of unfortunate. Could have really used the free land there. And our opponent's not doing much of anything. And we have a Thoughtseize, which is going to be excellent. So our opponent has no Ojutai, and it looks like just a dig. So now we're going to play a Rhino, force him to counter it. Alternatively, I guess I could have waited until I drew Thoughtseize, but if our opponent can't do anything except cast Dig through time, I think we want to make them have to spend their mana that turn so they can't actually dig. But alright. A lot of cards coming in. A lot of magic cards. So I like all this stuff. You want a bunch of discards, some cheaper threats like the Lions. The Caryatids go out because the games go long and they just get swept up in a Crux of Fate. And then we have 62 cards left, and like generally, I haven't liked Hero's Downfall, but now I feel like they all have a bunch of Ashioks, so you kind of need to keep those in. So then the things that you can cut from here are Commune with the Gods or Siege Rhino. And Commune has like a pretty good shot of bricking, actually. We only have 21 creatures post-board, so those could potentially get cut. I could also see shaving like a Siege Rhino, a Downfall, what have you. But I think I'm just going to cut the Communes. Maybe I should keep a Commune and cut a Rhino, but meh. Our hand is poop. Wow, this is one of the worst hands I could ever imagine. If he has Ashiok, this hand might actually be fine, but I'm over it. And now we have a one-lander with 2 discard spells. I'm going to keep this, though. I think our odds of winning with this hand are much higher than going to 5 cards. And we find a land, so we're almost there. We're going to lead with Duress because I probably want to take a spell instead of something like an Ojutai, or in this case a Tasigur. So now I want to take his Ashiok for sure. I'm going to get Thoughtseize. He's probably going to take my Thoughtseize and then play his Tasigur. So this might not end well. If I kept my first hand, I guess he would Thoughtseize my downfall. But if I got to downfall his Ashiok and then he had to Thoughtseize my soul, that'd be pretty great. Can't really... Oh, excuse me. Can't really see him taking anything other than Thoughtseize. And that is indeed what happens. So we draw a Bitter Revelation, which is going to be pretty good. Kind of awkward that we already have these Raptors. So we're not going to get a bunch of value off these Raptors, or off the Bitter Revelation probably, but what can you do? So our opponent, I don't know, kind of felt like he should have played Tasigur there. Saw my hand. I mean, I guess I had the Death Mist Raptors, but I don't know. Scrying and then popping your fetch is kind of awkward too. I don't know what's really happening. Alright, so Tasigur is now here. I'm going to take one to play this Raptor, so I can keep my Windswept Heath for Courser. And then presumably he's not going to attack. Now we're going to play Courser, try and work this thing a little bit, while he starts Tasiguring a bunch. So, we have a Scry on the stack, and a Fetch. I think it's just best to put this on the bottom. And I think we're supposed to attack here. We're trading 3 for 4. What did he get? Dig through time. Jeez. Yeah, we're trading 3 for 4, but like we're gonna stabilize eventually. So I think it's just better to be attacking because ultimately we're gonna want to deal him 20 damage, and it's much better if, like, once we kind of stabilize from this Tasigur that, oh, I didn't want to draw that forest, that, that he's at, like, 10 life and not 20, you know, so. So, I like this Den Protector on top. We're going to cast another Raptaro. Definitely was not supposed to draw that forest. So I like that his Tasigurs look kind of stupid in the face of our 2 Death Mist Raptors. I'm sure this was a card he brought in expecting to brick wall a bunch of low coursers and a Siege Rhino and stuff, and here it's actually just not doing much. Like, it's an engine for him for sure, but I'm the one getting ahead on board and like dealing him damage and stuff. And eventually, in order to clear all this stuff up, he's probably gonna have to use Crux. And he just takes the hit and downfalls one of my Raptors, which I definitely like, since I have a Den Protector. And now we have a Satyr on top, which is fine, but not great. And we're going to go hunting. We're going to try and find something better. Self-inflicted wound doesn't really count. So what's our opponent working with here? Has a dig through time. Not sure there's anything else that I know about. Yeah, he played out everything else. So if I play this Den Protector, it gets countered. If he shows me a dragon, that's going to give me probably a little heads up as to whether or not I need to keep this wound. And if it doesn't get countered, we can probably just flip it in Thoughtseize. So Scorn, revealing Dragon Lord Silumgar. So definitely don't want this self-inflicted wound. And then there's a Whip of Erebos, which is not bad. So now we're going to cast this Bitter Revelation. Maybe this gets countered, maybe not. I'll pick up a copy of Den Protector and Whip. And then we have a wound on top. So, wound, currently not killing anything. And I guess I can give our opponent a Tasigur back, since that's kind of useless now. So, Tasigur, dig, Silumgar. And 2 unknowns. And we're reaching the stage of the game where our opponent is going to start overpowering us with his big fatty spells. So we have another whip on top, so we don't really care if this whip gets countered. So we're just going to send in the Raptor. He's going to trade. We could morph a Den Protector. But he could just take it with Silumgar, so that'd be kind of bad. But it looks like he's just going to dig this turn and get to untap and do some crazy shenanigans. So, also worth noting, our opponent has 5 spells in hand. It's kind of a beat. So I can see a 6-mana dig here, exiling Tasigur, and then whatever else he doesn't want with his other Tasigur. But I guess like he's gonna have Dragonlord's Prerogative. Okay, that's slightly better than a dig through time. Now it probably gets to play a Tasigur for 1 mana. I'm just gonna Tasigur here with 4 mana open, which is pretty reasonable. It seems like he's willing to keep the Prerogative, which with Dig Through Time and an active Tasigur, it seems like that is probably not the card you want. You're kind of flush on cards already. So we're going to play our Den Protector face down. If somehow this resolves, we can get our Raptors back. But yeah, it is not going to resolve. And then I think I just whip a Raptor here to hit him for 3. As sad as that is. And he got the card on top, which is bad news for us. Currently trying to fade something like Ugin the Spirit Dragon, which would probably lock it up for our opponent. Self-inflicted wound has stunk. It would have been much worse, or much better as a Murderous Cut, so I'm probably going to make that swap for the next game. Because he has 2 Tasigurs and a Silumgar. We did see an Ashiok though, so downfalls are money. But if these wounds were cuts, I actually wouldn't have disliked my spot all that much. But Alright, so here comes something. Silumgar with the Scorn open, probably. Seeing as how he played his land before he took my Courser. And he's just not attacking at all. Alright. So we have a Raptaro on top. We can wound our opponent to kill our own Courser. And then we can whip a Raptor. Or we can save the Raptor for when we play this next Raptor face down. So we could just like whip a Den Protector to gain 2 life because we're not doing much else this turn. So we will certainly cast the wound. Put our opponent to 3, but I believe they still have a Scorn. But if I whip Raptor, that means that... Oh, come on, man. Why can't I tap my mana correctly? If I whip Raptor, it means he basically has to trade with something. And then if I play a Morph next turn, he's kind of incentivized to counter it anyway, because it'll be a Den Protector. So yeah, we get to trade with Tasigur. And then that enables him to cast Dig Through Time, but I think that's fine. He already had plenty of cards anyway. So basically trying to keep some stuff off the board. And give me a plenty of time to draw into something relevant. Like if I draw Siege Rhino, that'd be great because he would have to counter it and then somehow beat it off the Whip of Erebos, and I don't think that's possible. So there's an Ashiok. So that's a thing. Gets my Raptor that I kept on top, right? Yeah. And a Siege Rhino. So that's kind of a beat. Draw a Courser. Which maybe I shouldn't even play, actually, because it's so bad against Ashiok. And I could whip something to gain some life there, but not too worried about that. I think I'd rather have some stuff in the yard in case I draw Soul. Yeah, so now we're just in the Ashiok lock, basically, where if we have a good card on top, they're going to mill us. There's a Wayfinder. Wayfinder's great. But I wanted to get to a point where I could whip some stuff. And then have him actually have to use a removal spell to not take damage. Attacking Ashiok is kind of pointless. Again, I want to try and get my opponent down to 3, so if I draw a Rhino somehow, then they'd just be dead. But yeah, he's going to use a Downfall and then block my other one. So I end up at 30, but Ashiok is beating me, and here comes another dig. So we got a whip in play, but we didn't actually get any self-mill stuff. So we don't have a lot to work with. And now Ashiok gets to Rhino me back, which is not great. And he gets to play an Ojutai as well. So I'm pretty dead. But, you know, we play on. In theory, I still have outs. Yeah, these are not outs. Basically, what I was looking to try and do was Wayfinder into Soul, get back a bunch of Den Protectors, and then maybe I could actually cobble something together. You know, kill his Ashiok, not die to some dragons, but now I think like last turn was like the turn that I had to hit it. And now I should be too far behind. So I'm not seeing Bile Blights or Foul Tongues. So those probably went out. Yeah, that's going to be good enough. Maybe I could have whipped the Wayfinder and actually tried to do something, but... Alright, so cuts instead of wounds. Keeping all the downfalls, because we saw at least 2 Ashioks. And maybe Hornet Queen is a thing, but... I like the other stuff I have better, I think. Yeah, don't really want to mess around with Commune. So there we go. I would love to play first. And I would love to keep this hand. So 2 removal spells, which is not great, but we have a Thoughtseize and a Den Protector and a Whip, so maybe we can force a little something through. Land is good enough to keep, I suppose. Ojutai, Dig, Crux, Downfall, Tasigur. So... I think Downfall is the card we have to take because I want to play a Den Protector face down. Because I don't think I'm going to be able to wait until turn 5 to play it and flip it in the same turn. So, yep. So we fetch a forest, play this thing, can potentially Thoughtseize his Dig next turn, Captain Anticipate, so hopefully we won't find a removal spell for this thing. Be kind of unfortunate if that happened. And I really need a Bitter Revelation. So right now we're basically on parity, but I need some way to catch up. And I have these removal spells that are going to be dead for a little bit, I think. Well, now I can play Tasigur this turn, I guess. If he so choosed. Okay. That's kind of a good draw. So we want to use this cut, but I don't think I can. Yeah, I can't flip Den Protector, get Thoughtseize. So if we want to use this cut, which I think we do, it means that we can't flip Den Protector this turn, so it gives him another window to be able to kill it. But hopefully that just doesn't happen. So Dig, Crux, Ojutai is my opponent's hand. And we are Downfall rich. Which is not great. So Thoughtseize our opponent. Kind of leaning towards Dig through time since he has a bunch of like kind of garbagey cards, and we have a lot of things to deal with Ojutai, so I think Dig is the right call here. Crux isn't doing much. The rest of his cards aren't really doing much, so yeah. So he's just playing Backwater instead of playing Ojutai, and I like that for me because it gives me another turn. I should have played Whip first, actually. Pretty dumb. Should have played Whip first. Okay. So I was cobbling a little something together to maybe make his Ojutai stick. I can't really run this lion out there yet because I don't want it to get cruxed. And now I have to leave 3 mana open to deal with his Ojutai. But yeah, I was going to say if he's attacking, that's really scary. Because that just means that he drew a counterspell. So we're going to get... maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe I kind of want to get a little greedy here. And cast the Revelation. But that basically locks me into taking a land off it. Well, check this out. What if I play Lion? I think I like this better. So this forces him to use his mana to Crux. And then I get to play Bitter Revelation. And then I have a couple little dorks that I can whip back. But well, if he just has another dig, then good beats. Now I'm almost certainly in trouble. Thoughtseize is kind of the worst. Just like, take their thing, leave them with a bunch of stuff that you can deal with, and then they just draw the thing that they need. Yeah, now we're pretty dead. Ojutai's going to punch me in the face, and then he's going to kill all my creatures. I can't imagine he hasn't found a counterspell by now. I don't know, this game was kind of weird. We had a bunch of stuff going on. We got some card advantage stuff. We didn't draw any Satyr Wayfinders, so our whip kind of sucked. We also didn't draw any Rhinos. And our downfalls were pretty dead because he never had an Ashiok. Oh, there's a Wayfinder. So now I'm bitter revving into a bunch of gas, but I think it's going to be too little too late here. So, Den Protector, yes. And then what? Courser's not going to be able to gain me enough life. So, this turn I'm probably going to have to Wayfinder into a land. Next turn, whip something else to gain some life to make it so I don't die. But if he has a removal spell, then that plan just doesn't work. So, if I hit running lands, I can go Den Protector, face up, get cut. Yeah, I guess I don't need lands. I was thinking downfall. But yeah, I can just take the cut and try and kill his Ojutai. But yeah, if he has a counterspell, then I'm dead. So assuming that works out, what would I rather have? A Bitter Revelation, I guess. So we'll take that. And we just brick. We do hit a Rhino, so that's a thing, I guess. We're fairly dead. Strange to win game 1 and then lose the post-board games, because I think my deck gets a lot better after board, but his deck is mostly the same. So I guess our plan is whip this Rhino. And if he has 2 removal spells, we're just dead. If he only has 1, we go up to 6. And then I guess we just cast this Den Protector. Could try and save this for cut next turn. But I think a better plan is to just have more things to gain life with Whip. Could very easily be wrong. So if I try and hold this to face down it, we lose to a counterspell. In this way, if he wants to counter this, he can. But I guess... Well, if he has a counterspell, then this is just better. Because it kind of forces it to for him to use it here, which will give me all my mana next turn. He does dissolve it. How many counters have we gone through? Just 1 dissolve. Does not bode well for me, since I assume they are all in his deck. Maybe should have kept the communes in, I guess. Basically always wanted a stocked graveyard and just never really had it. So we're pretty dead here. Can only gain up to go to 5 life. Which means that we are just dead. I guess alternatively, I could have, instead of basically just conceding, I could have played Courser, tried to hit an untapped land, and then whip something. But yeah, we're just dead. That is it. Loss of the Espers. Probably need to fix my sideboarding strategy for this matchup.